I'm just going to really quickly stop for a second because this is kind of, for us, a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity because I need a really good Christmas card this year. So if everybody could hold up their Steve Hilton signs, I want to get the best photo ever taken. We're just going to take a quick photo here. Oh, look, that is unbelievable. All right, let's make California golden again. There we go, wave those signs. It's actually really, it's a really nice color palette. I'll be changing my wardrobe soon. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna play a quick campaign video that Steve and the team put together, and then we're also going to hear a message of support from somebody who has been with Steve probably longer than any of you can even imagine. So I'm very excited about this. Here we go.
It all started with freedom. My parents fled communism in Hungary. So I was born in England, a free country, but a country in rapid decline. My earliest political memory was Mrs. Thatcher, the first British leader in a generation with the courage to fight back for freedom. Our family didn't have money. My mom worked in a shoe store, my dad in construction. But like so many working class people, they just wanted a better life. My parents were so proud when I made it to Oxford University, and then when I got a job with the Conservative Party, working for Margaret Thatcher. She unleashed the spirit of enterprise in England. She inspired me. I started a business, even a couple of restaurants. That is a tough business. Later, I helped elect a Prime Minister, worked in 10 Downing Street. In 2012, we moved to America, to California, the ultimate expression of America, the home of freedom. Or it should be. I taught at Stanford University, started a company, wrote books, hosted a TV show. I lived the California dream. I raised my family here, made my life here, became an American. It was one of the proudest days of my life, but also a reminder of the madness, the masks, the lockdowns, the school closures. Look at these pictures, the chaos, the crime, the collapse of the California dream. This is not just any other state. California means to America what America means to the world. Let's make California the land of opportunity again. Great jobs, great homes, great kids. Let's make California an inspiration again. The very best of America. There's only one way to do that. We've got to end the one-party rule that got us into this mess. It's time to end the years of Democrat favor. It's time for a new future. That's why I'm running for governor. To make this beautiful state that we love so much truly golden again.
Hello, I'm Heine Hilton and I'm Steve Hilton's mother. I was growing up in Hungary and it was a communist country, a communist system, a party system. There was no really freedom of speech because you could get into real trouble if it was anything against the communist system. Well, whenever Stephen said anything outrageous or criticized people, I thought, oh my God, you can't say that. And he was just laughing about it. He said, this is life. If I don't like something, I say so, straightforward. But when he was a teenager, people asked him, who would you like to be when you grow up? And guess what he said? A DJ.
Firstly, what do you think about this idea of him running for governor?
What do I think? I'm going to say what is appropriate. Maybe people don't agree with him, but he is determined to change, to make changes. And very often that makes enemies, because he simply not afraid of airing his own opinion. He's fun, really hardworking, conscientious.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Steve Hilton!
Enough of that. You see, I told you. My mum said, you want to be a DJ, and there we are. What a great track. The sun came out. That's a good start. The people came out. That's an even better start. What a great crowd. How fantastic to see you all here in Huntington Beach. Here's why we're here. The spirit of Huntington Beach is going to be the spirit that saves our beautiful state of California and makes this state truly golden again. The revolution in Huntington Beach. Anyone heard of a show called The Next Revolution? How about we make the next revolution the California Revolution? And we do it, as you've been hearing, by fighting for common sense, positive, practical ideas that help people instead of the ideological crusades that we've had for far too long with 15 years of Democrat one-party rule. So I just want to say thank you to all my friends from Huntington Beach, Gracie, Andrew, Tony, who you saw on video. This feels like home to me. What an incredible result. Just 4 or so years ago, a Democrat-run city, 6-1 Democrat, Tony Strickland, put together the Fab Four, 2022. They won, and immediately got to work, making life better for all of you and this community. And then last year, a bigger slate of candidates. I gotta say it, Gracie. Will you let me say it? The Magnificent Seven. The Magnificent Seven won 7-0, so there you have it. In 4 years, 6-1 Democrat to 7-0 Republican. Don't anyone tell you that we can't change California. This city shows us how we can. And by the way, it's not elections that are the real measure of success, it's what you do with them. And that's why the proudest thing we can say about the Huntington Beach Revolution is that just a couple of weeks ago, this city, Huntington Beach, was rated the best run city in California. So here's why we need that California Revolution. It is now or never for California. Imagine 15 more years of Democrat one-party rule. Just look what they've done. They gave us the highest rate of poverty in the country. These people that endlessly lecture us about compassion and social justice, the highest rate of poverty. 1/3 of Californians can't meet their basic needs. The highest unemployment they gave us. The highest taxes. The lowest income growth last year. The worst business climate in America, 10 years in a row. This is why we need to act now. It is now or never, because if we don't change direction, it will be another 15 years of stagnation and decline. And California is too important to let that happen. We are not going to let that happen to the greatest, most fantastic state in this great nation of ours. We are not going to let California slide into decline. Now, I'm not an expert in the ocean, but I do feel that the tide is turning in California. We're going to make that California revolution happen. But I want to tell you about another revolution. Longer ago, you saw some images of it just there in that video. The Hungarian Revolution, 1956. The people stood up for freedom, and the tanks rolled in from the communist Soviet Union and crushed those dreams. And I'm standing here before you because of the people who stood up against that and went in search of freedom. My parents, who left the communist regime to start a new life in England so that I could be born in freedom and with opportunity. And that's the difference. You saw a little bit of my story there. I was born in a free country. We didn't have money. My mother worked in a shoe store. My stepfather worked construction. But we had opportunity because Mrs. Thatcher understood the aspirations of working people. And bit by bit, policy by policy, built that ladder of opportunity, economic security, a home of your own, great education. So I was able to climb that ladder to Oxford University, and then the great honor of working with Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher. What an amazing champion of freedom and a partner for our great President Reagan. From California, a former governor of this state. By the way, did you like the pictures of me with hair? What do you think? Better now? But I think so too. I think better now. And here's a real reason why. So there's this saying political people, experts have, and they usually talk about this in terms of presidential elections. You may have heard this. That usually people vote in presidential elections for the opposite of what they just had. They go the other way. They have one thing and then they go the other way. All right, so we're talking about hair now. So you know, with a presidential election, there's George Bush, he's from Texas and all of that, and then they go for the very cerebral Barack Obama. That's a very polite word. I could use nastier words, but I'm not going to do that today. And then they've had enough of the cerebral Obama, and they go for Trump. It's the opposite. So when we think about the governor of California and hair, I think going the other direction is a pretty good idea. I think we definitely need a governor with less hair. Thank you very much. So, the journey towards freedom continued. We moved here in 2012, my family, and as I said, I lived the California dream. I taught at Stanford University, I started a business, wrote books, hosted a TV show. But then something very interesting happened. In 2016, I'd been over to the UK for a long trip, and I remember landing at San Francisco Airport. And I remember just rolling in and looking out the window, and I just thought to myself, it's so great to be home. And I thought, well, that's it. This is home. This is home now. And California is home for me, not just in a literal sense of where we live and where we've raised our family and made our life. I feel it in a deeper way than that. I feel at home here, more than anywhere else I've ever been. Because what California means, that spirit of freedom and opportunity and energy and dynamism And the rebel spirit, the fighting spirit, that's California. That's what these people are trying to crush. And we can't let them do it. I hope I can help you. That's the plan, sir. And so the thing is that you've got to understand about me that actually I was in love with California even before we made our life here. I remember back in the day in England, in politics, this was before David Cameron, who I work for, became Prime Minister. There's this magazine, this political magazine called The Spectator, which you may know. There's an online version here in America, and The Spectator wrote a story about Steve Hilton, David Cameron's policy guru, and the plans he's putting together if they win the election. And the headline on the piece was California Dreaming. And the theme of the piece was that Steve Hilton's vision that he's working on for David Cameron is all about making the UK more like California. Now, this was 20 or so years ago. And here's the question. Is there any policy advisor to any political leader anywhere in the world that would want to make their country more like California today? And that just shows you how far we've fallen. But it's okay. We're going to climb back up. We're going to turn it around. We're going to make California golden again. And really, that's what this announcement, you may have noticed yesterday, was all about. But there's one thing I've got to tell you that I'm a little disappointed about. As someone who's been interested in politics for many years, watching, when I was back in the day in England, watching from afar, watching American politics, I always loved the idea of the nomination. You get nominated. In the primary and you get nominated. Well, we don't have that now because they got rid of that with this ridiculous top two system. What do we think of the top two system? Exactly. So we don't have a party primary anymore in California. I guess we have a people's primary. And you're all here. We got some people here. So I'm just going to ask you all. Anyone here wants to nominate me? All right. I'll take it. I'll do it. I proudly accept your nomination for governor of the great, the magnificent, the beautiful, but so disastrously run state of California. So, as I embark on this journey with you, I thought it would be a good idea just to get some advice from someone who's a very, very good friend, a great patriot. He's just a few steps ahead of me on this journey towards the governor's mansion. And I'd like to introduce him to you now. Do we have him? He's supposed to show up here. There he is, my friend, Vivek Ramaswamy. Vivek, so great to see you, man.
Good to see you, Steve. Congratulations, and to the next governor of California. I don't want to just congratulate you. I want to congratulate everybody in that communist republic, because you're going to turn that ship around and restore California back to the golden age, my friend. I'm proud of you. Thank you for having me.
That is exactly right. So listen, the first thing I want to ask you, just, since we're chatting just between us and there's no one else here, any advice, Vivek, as I start this journey?
My advice is just be yourself. And I remember the first time I saw you was before we even met. I was watching you on Fox News as one of the early people debunking the fact that this came from anywhere other than a lab. And I said, who is this guy? He's got a little bit of a funny accent, and I like his look on TV. He dresses a little different than the other hosts. But I'm going to watch this guy and keep an eye on him. And this is one of the early guys who stood for the idea that COVID-19 came from a lab in China. Steve Hilton stands for truth, and so I ended up seeing that this was a guy who stood for truth even when it was uncomfortable. That's my advice to you. There will be a lot of pressures, especially in a state like California, maybe even donor pressures that cause you to buckle and soften the delivery of the message of the truth. My advice to you is resist the pressure, stick to the truth, and frankly, you would rather speak the truth and even lose than to win by playing some fake game. But the beauty for you right now is we live in a moment, Steve, where you're not going to lose if you do that. You're going to win. You're going to win decisively. but stay true to who you are. I know who you are, and pretty soon the people of California will too, and that's why I'm giving you my full endorsement.
Thank you. I really appreciate that so much. So just a little note on dressing different. I've actually dressed more normal today. I've dressed up for the occasion.
That's good too. Just be what you feel for the day. I love it.
I'm just telling you, don't get used to it. This is special occasions only. And of course, it's a very special occasion. So I was so honored to be with you on the day that you announced your run for governor of Ohio. Can we just have a big cheer for Vivek? Let's support him. Let's support him in his mission. And something really struck me in what you said that I think has such a powerful lesson for us here in California about not taking anything for granted. And so we hear now in California endlessly from Gavin Newsom, oh, well, everything must be great because we're the 5th biggest economy in the world, as if that's just going to go on forever, even in the face of this onslaught from these ridiculous policies. And something you said was so striking. I want everyone here to hear it about Ohio and where Ohio was and what that means in terms. I remember you had some facts about the number of cities that were once the most prosperous in America. Tell that story. I think it's very relevant to what we're doing here.
Oh, totally. I mean, so I'm running for governor of Ohio. This is a state where I was born and raised. And by the way, this is going to be a team effort in saving the country. That's why I wanted to be there this way. I actually wanted to try to come in person. I wasn't able to because of the logistics of where I am in my race. But it's a team effort to save the country because as much as President Trump is doing his job in Washington, D.C., they're kicking back the policies like education and healthcare back to the states and to the people where they belong. And so I view people like Steve, fellow leaders of the states, as really the allies in saving this country. And so I'll tell you about my own home state in Ohio. 6 of the top 15 wealthiest cities in America were right here in Ohio, even in the 1950s. And at the turn of the last century, we here in the heartland, Ohio was the wealthiest state in the Union. We led the way in the first industrial revolution. And what happens is when you have a state that's as successful as it was back then, as California, for example, was not long ago, that's what gives our kids the self-confidence to achieve the impossible. That's what gave Neil Armstrong, born and raised in my state of Ohio, the confidence to become the first man to walk on the moon in human history, or John Glenn to be the first person to go into orbit, or the Wright brothers who grew up in Dayton, Ohio to take flight. It's a virtuous cycle where you give your kids the self-confidence to dare to achieve what they're told is impossible if they're grounded in a firm footing of a country and a state that's actually successful, the best version of itself. That's what we've lost in much of what we call the Rust Belt, the place where I am, in the region where I'm located today. That's what other people call this. Now you have a cycle of fentanyl usage, opioid addiction, suicide, depression, anxiety, a mental health epidemic. That becomes a downward spiral. So I think it takes a special kind of leaders, to be able to lead us out of that psychological black spiral and instead get back to that virtuous cycle of self-confidence. And to bring it back to your race in your state, Steve, that's what I think California needs right now. An injection of self-confidence, an injection of remembering that you're a great state at the leading edge of the greatest country known to the history of mankind. Think about America now, our mandate of manifest destiny, go west, go west, go west. California was the destination. It became the epicenter of American economic growth for much of the second half of the 20th century. And yet under disastrous rule, look at what's happened in the last couple of decades. I mean, God has blessed your state with so many natural gifts that you should be grateful for, that you have everything you could wish for to be one of the great states in our country. But what you have right now is a man-made problem, not a nature-made problem. It's one of the most beautiful, naturally beautiful places on the face of the planet. The real issue is it is a man-made problem by your current leader and by one-party rule in your state. The good news is every man-made problem has a man-made solution. And I'm supporting you, Steve, because I think you're going to be the man who makes that solution for your state. And I think it's such an embodiment of the American dream. You talked about your own journey, and you talk about Ronald Reagan a little bit, who was a past governor of your state. I'll draw from something that Reagan said that reminds us of who we can be again, where he reminded all of us. you know, we could go to, most of the people in the audience, right? We could go to Italy and we would never be an Italian. You could go reside in France and you would never be a Frenchman. You could reside in Japan or China and you would never be Japanese or Chinese. And to the people in your audience, Stephen, like you, everybody else could move to England and we'd never be English. But you can come from any one of those countries, including England, to the United States of America and still be an American if you subscribe to the ideas that this country was founded on. If you work hard, make your contributions, live the American dream, speak our national language, make contributions and assimilate into our culture. You're the model of that. And it's deeply personal to me because my parents came to this country 45 years ago with nothing. I've lived an American dream as an entrepreneur. You've done that as a first-generation immigrant yourself. That's the best of what this country represents. But now is your turn to serve, as it is my turn to serve, and to give back to that country, to pass that American dream forward. You make California great again. I'm going to make Ohio great again. And I believe that our states and our country's best days are still going to be ahead of us. Keep that positive attitude. Stay who you are. Don't let the consultants or anybody else in the political establishment take you off track. Stay true to yourself, and you're going to make California proud, my man. So we're behind you all the way.
Thank you, man. I so appreciate that. We're going to do this together. We're going to be partners. We're going to save our states. We're going to contribute to the rebirth and renaissance of this wonderful country that we love so much. Thank you so much for being with us all here today, Vivek. Thank you. I love you.
Your back. Thank
I'll
you
see you
guys,
soon.
all right?
Thank you.
Make it happen in California. Take care.
So, can I just say, he really is the embodiment of the American dream. And though I love Vivek, as you just saw, we're very good friends. You know, I am a little bit jealous because his business career, a lot more stellar than mine. He's really done very well. And that reminds me of the restaurant business. And that's why I'm slightly, I mean, of course I love Andrew Gruhl, but it's kind of annoying because he's done really well in that business. And we, you know, it was a little bit tough for us. By the way, my 3 a.m. phone call, I just had to say this, on the restaurant front was one day we heard from our customers, why are you closed? It's like, I think it was a Saturday or something like that. Why are you closed? You're not open, it's ridiculous, it's not a holiday, what's going on? And it turned out, when we finally got hold of the answer, that the shelves in the kitchen had collapsed. And all the crockery, all the plates, all the bowls, everything had smashed. Like everything. And we got hold of the manager and said, well, why are we closed? Well, all the plates broke. I said, like, why didn't you get new plates? We're in London. It's not complicated. It's very, very difficult to make the restaurant business work. So I am completely in awe of people who've done it, and everyone who runs a small business in California in the face of this unbelievable harassment from our government. So how are we going to do this? So we were just talking there about what's the to-do list for California. It is very, very long. I just wrote a book called Califailure, Reversing the Ruin of America's Worst Run State. And the list of things to do is very long. Because as Kevin Kiley touched on earlier, what we've seen here in the last 15 years of Democrat one-party rule is an ideological experiment. They've turned our beautiful state into the Wuhan lab of far-left extremism. They've been cooking up this virus. It's infected us, it's gone out into the rest of the country as well. All the bad ideas that have done so much damage, they all started here. The Green New Deal, the banning gas stoves, gas cars, all this nonsense. The extremism on race and gender and the ballot harvesting, you name it, it started here. That's what we've got to turn around. And that's why that image is so powerful to me that I mentioned earlier, the ladder of opportunity. Because when you really look at the damage they've done, these Democrats, what they've done, especially for working Californians, for working families and working people, is smash the rungs on the ladder of opportunity. That's what they've done. That's a crime. The economic security people and families need, smashed. The ability to own your own home, smashed. To get a good education, smashed. That's what they've done. We're now the place in America with the highest rate of poverty, highest taxes. It's impossible for people. Home ownership, a distant dream. We used to have the most affordable homes in America. It's hard to imagine that now. Now we have the highest housing costs and the lowest home ownership. Look at our public schools, the disaster there. Under half of students in our public schools meet grade level in English. With math, it is a third. That is a crime against the next generation, and we have to turn that around. And when you add all that up, what it really means is the destruction of the California dream. And by the way, this is not a partisan point, it's not even a political point. Guess who agrees with that? The Democrats. You listen to what they're saying now. You have Gavin Newsom running around saying the Democratic Party has become toxic. Well, yeah, but who did that? You have you heard of this guy, Javier Becerra? He announced the other week he's running for governor as a Democrat. Although I think we should give him his proper name. Remember, he was a totally hapless, almost comically inept HHS secretary under Biden. And Biden called Javier Becerra by his real name, if you remember, Javier Baccaria. Javier Baccaria. So Javier Baccaria announced that he's running for governor the other week. And he said, literally, he said, why is he running? Because the California dream that was there for his parents isn't there anymore. I said, yes, exactly. And who did that? You did, with your stupid policies that have crushed opportunity. How can the people who made this mess be the ones to clean it up? And by the way, he was asked, I wrote this down, I didn't want to get it wrong, because, you know, I always try and be fair and accurate. He was asked, I can see, it was you, Alex Michelson. Alex Michelson asked this new candidate, I don't think either of us would say this is a gotcha question. Javier Baccaria said that his main focus, like the focus of his campaign, is going to be dealing with the affordability crisis. The affordability crisis. So naturally the question was, well, how are you going to do that? What are you going to do? What's your plan? This is not a trick question. If you said that this is the focus of your campaign, this is what he said. This is what I wanted to write down, make sure I get it right. I don't know if you caught this. It's word for word. Javier Baccaria's plan to restore the California dream and deal with the affordability crisis that he and his party caused. Quote, you need to bring the problem to the table with the best experts. Oh, great. How did that work out in the pandemic? You need to bring the problem to the table with the best experts. You scrub it. Whatever is clean and survives, that's what you do. That's literally what he said. Like the first thing he said. I know, it's amazing. So, I don't know, you know that phrase? Word salad, we'll get to that in a second. Can I give you this? Just that. So, poor old Javier Baccaria. It reminds me of that phrase. Look at what the California Democrats are sending us now. They're not sending their best. And someone mentioned word salads. There's another candidate out there, looming. She's looming, like the marine layer, threatening to come in and blot out the sun that we have here today. Kamala Harris. Oh yes, I know, we gotta talk about Kamala Harris. So here's the thing. Have you noticed that in all over the last few months, you've got endless little stories, she's considering running, she's strongly considering running for governor, she's going to run for governor. What's amazing is that every single story that they're putting out there about her running for governor, every single one, and when they're talking about why she wants to run for governor, it's never about us or you or the families of California, the businesses, all the people crushed by Democrat policy. It's never about us. It's always about her. She says she may run for governor because she doesn't want the last thing that she does in her public life to be confirming Donald Trump's victory in the presidential election, as she did when she was vice president. She doesn't want that to be the last thing. She wants something different. She said she's thinking of running for governor because she is, quote, intrigued by the prospect of being the first black woman governor in America. Let me tell you, leading the greatest state in the greatest nation on earth is not some consolation prize to be handed out to a failed and rejected machine politician from Washington who can barely string a coherent sentence together and who thinks she should get this job because of her identity, not her ability. So bring it, Kamala. If you decide to run for governor, we will beat you again. And actually, you know the interesting thing, very helpfully, we now know exactly what she would be like if she were in charge of California, because we have someone we can look at and to see how she is doing, because we have Kamala Harris's alternate. Remember that Joe Biden had a short list of 2 when picking his vice presidential nominee. It was Kamala Harris or Karen Bass. Hey, Karen Bass. Well, Karen Bass. Look, I'm not going to spend a lot of time. I'm just going to, again, the quotes are very revealing. Karen Bass, the other week, put a post on X, and it said at the time, the words were these: I have just signed an executive order streamlining permitting to help rebuild Los Angeles after the fires. That's what she said, that's what she wrote. Streamlining. I've just signed an executive order streamlining. You think, okay, I'll take it. It's 4 months too late, but whatever. And then you actually, there's a clip of her actually speaking about this, making the announcement at a press conference. This is what she actually said. So the words say, I just signed an executive order streamlining permitting. Like you think something's happened, right? In the real world, some change has happened. This is what she actually said. I have just signed an executive order tasking agency heads with developing paths forward to streamlining permitting. Like, what is this? It's just not real. But that's what you get from one-party rule. It throws up these machine politicians whose only skill is navigating the party machine. And that's what has done so much damage in California. That's what happens. That's why you have 4 permits issued in 4 months. Even as she told President Trump to his face that she was going to speed it all up. 4 permits in 4 months. That's what you get from 15 years of one-party rule by the Democrats. We have 15 months to turn that around. Now, Kevin's here, Kevin Kiley. Is he still here? So, I saw him, the last time I saw Kevin was at the congressional hearings on the wildfires, on the disaster, and I'd never been to one of these before, and you know, the kind of pantomime, they all, ask these questions, all very partisan. And there was this member of Congress, I don't remember her name, I think she's from Vermont, So you can guess. Yeah, exactly. And it was just so interesting. So there are 4 of us giving evidence. And she tried one of these, they do these gotcha questions, or they think they're gotcha questions. Yes or no? Answer, yes or no? Anyway, so she did this routine, and you could feel that, her and her aides, they'd spent all of the previous day trying to come up with this perfect question to get us. And she's obsessed with the idea that Republicans were claiming that the wildfires were caused by DEI. That's what she was trying to assert. So this was the question. Do you think that the fires were caused by the fact that the fire chief is a lesbian? That's her question. And I said, no. But then I thought, you know what? The fire disaster, the scale of it, the human suffering, that was caused by DEI. Democrat extremism and incompetence. That's what caused that fire disaster, just as it's caused every other disaster. Let's go through it one by one. Democrat, it's not just the politicians, it's the Democrat industrial complex, the unions that fund them, especially the teacher unions, who did so much damage to our kids' future. We will never let them forget that. The Democrat industrial complex, you've got the teachers' unions, the activists, the bureaucrats. D. E. Extremism. I mean, I don't know where to start. These California Democrats, they've moved so far left. They're halfway to Hawaii. The extremism on gender. You saw that poor girl just last week testifying to the school board saying she felt violated by these policies from the Democrats, shut down, silenced. The extremism on climate. I mean, you want to find a reason why everything is so difficult for every family and every business in California. It's this climate extremism. Our oil industry. So, not that long ago, a few decades ago, we produced and used most of the oil in California, right here in California, in Kern County, mostly. And now, instead of what we used to do, which is basically produce around 60-70% of it here, import some of it from Alaska, now it's the other way around. We import 80% of the oil that we use on giant super tankers from halfway around the world, spewing out carbon emissions, all in the name of climate. It doesn't make sense, it's incoherent, it's ideological, it's extreme, and we got to stop that madness from happening. As long as we use oil and gas in California, let's use the oil and gas we have here, in our own state. The latest madness, have you heard about, you just can't make, have you heard about the windmills, the latest genius idea from these extremists on the windmill? They're obsessed with windmills and solar power. So here's the latest idea. They're going to have giant windmills, but they want them far off the coast because you get more wind. There's a slight problem. The ocean's very deep there. So here's their plan. Here's the game plan from the Democrat geniuses. They're going to take giant windmills 1,000 feet tall, and they're 20 miles off the coast, floating platforms. They're going to have floating windmills the height of the Eiffel Tower, 2,500 of them off the coast of California. It is insane. I feel like channeling a little bit of President Reagan. Mr. Newsom, tear down those windmills. And then you get to the incompetence. I mean, again, where do you start? Do you start with the number keeps going up, 24 billion on homelessness, 38 billion on homelessness, while the problem just gets worse? Do you start with the 30 billion that they lost in the pandemic, the Employment Development Department just lost our money, just sending it in checks to people in jail, people all over the country? Or do you start with, did someone say train? I thought you might say that. The bullet train. The bullet train. Okay, so this was supposed to open in 2018. It's supposed to cost $30 billion. Now it's $130 billion. Maybe it'll open in another 15 years. A little bit of it. By the way, even on their own plans, they sold this as, this is for climate. If you actually look at the numbers, and they said this is going to be brilliant for the climate because it's going to stop people using their cars. Fewer vehicle miles traveled. And then you look at what they actually calculated. This is their own plan, their own number, which is totally made up anyway. On their own plan, this bullet train was going to save 1/20th of 1% of the car journeys in California for hundreds of billions of dollars. And where are we now? I mean, my favorite story about the bullet train is, do you hear about they actually did something sensible. So there's very well-developed high-speed rail in Europe. I've traveled it many times. One of the best is France. So where's Gloria? Is Gloria still here? I'm sorry about the accent. I know, there are some words that just come off a little, you got to really say it in an American accent. France. So they hired a team from France to advise them on the bullet train. Good idea. This team, after a couple of years working in California, said, we can't take it anymore. We are leaving to work somewhere less, this is a quote, less dysfunctional than California. They went to Morocco. Morocco's bullet train opened for business in 2018. The bullet train. The ultimate monument to Democrat misrule. $130 billion over budget, 20 years late. That's not a bullet train. That's a bullshit train. And Californians have been taken for a ride on it for 15 long years of one-party rule. BS on crime, BS on homelessness, BS on housing, BS on everything. It is time to stop the Democrats' bullshit train, get this state back on track, and restore the California dream for everybody. And that's what we're here to do. We are here to make this beautiful state golden again, and here's how we're going to do it. Great jobs, great homes, great kids, restore the California dream, rebuild that ladder of opportunity. We are going to cut taxes for working people. It is outrageous that people earning, barely getting by, are having to pay 8-9% tax, state income tax. That is going to go. We are going to remove state income tax for everybody earning $100,000. We are going to make this the best place in America to start and run a business, not the worst. We are going to make it possible for everyone to own their own home. We're going to end the hidden housing taxes. We're going to end the bureaucracy that stands in the way of building the homes we need. We are going to make 100% of our students meet state standards in math and English and everything they need by making our public schools focus on education, not indoctrination. The basic things, we're going to hold teachers accountable. We're going to reward the best teachers and remove the worst. That's how we're going to do it. That's how we rebuild that ladder of opportunity and restore the California dream. We need to work together to make that happen. We need to build a movement. Not red, not blue, but golden. That's what we're going to do. And we need to vote. And there's one very important thing that we need to do is make sure our voting system works properly. And so I'm very, very proud to say that Carl DeMaio and his team, who are leading the effort on voter ID in California, they are here today. I am going to sign right now. Voter ID for California. Sign the petition. I don't want you to leave here without signing the petition. And when we do this, and we make that California dream a reality, and we turn our state around, remember that we do it not just for ourselves, not just for our families and our neighbors and our communities. We're doing it for the whole country, because America means so much to our country. America is the greatest nation on earth. California is the greatest state in America. California means to America what America means to the world. That's why this fight is so important. And I just want to read you something from a very good friend of mine, and she's right there. And I know I get out this ridiculous flip phone, I'm sorry about that. Just bear with me, it's going to take me a minute. I'll get there in the end. Here we are. Just Nicole, you're right there. So Nicole, a great friend, a great supporter, is battling cancer with more grace and humor and determination than I've ever seen. And here's what she sent me last night. Someone asked me tonight, does he have a chance? Steve, I know you will fight for California as much as I am fighting for my life. In my heart, I know you will make California golden again. We need you, California needs you, and I know you will win. Never give up. Bugger on, as Winston would say. Who's Winston? That is the spirit. And it's because of that we have to work on this together. We have to do this together. I'm going to fight for you, Nicole, so you do see the day when California is truly golden again. I'm going to fight for you, for every one of you here, for every family, for every business, for every community. We are going to fight for California. We're going to save California. We're going to make the California dream a reality again for everyone. We're going to make this beautiful state that we love so much truly golden again. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, thank you. Come on, Jack. Come on, everybody. How you doing? We're going to do it together. I think I want to be a DJ again. Let's have some music, please. I want everyone up here. Let's have some fun. We're going to do this. We're going to make this state golden again. This is State of Independence. We're going to do it, everybody. Come on stage. Jesse, are we going to do it? I think we're going to do it. Thank you so much for coming. We love you. We're going to make our state golden again. Thank you so much. I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to be spending time with you here. We can do pictures. It's going to be great. Thank you, everybody. All right. Thanks, everyone. I'll see you later. I'm just going to be down here. Let's take some pictures. Let's have some fun. fun, and then we are going to go out there and persuade everyone and fight for every vote and make our state golden again. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.